So Amazon just posted the Lost Ark 2024 roadmap where they outlined the next 4 months of content for us in Lost Ark, and everybody's been receiving the map pretty good, me included. I looked at the website, I looked at all of the notes, and I also watched the video as well, and I took some notes from the video, and I am here to summarize the key points to you very briefly. The reason why I wanted to make a video like this and not just react to it on stream is because I noticed something that kind of spoke directly to me and I thought was really important. So before we get into that, let's summarize what they talked about. The video opens up with Rox, Henry, and Matthew, who is a new face to the Lost Ark community, and he is someone who is now an associate franchise lead. I wrote that down for Amazon, and he used to be the lead producer, so he has been around for a long time. He has been working with the game for a long time. He apparently has 14 characters on Lost Ark, and he mains Predator Slayer, which is really cool. He, in his entrance kind of introduction, he immediately referenced Fion Gate, so that was a really cool thing to do, I think, because it's funny and it kind of breaks the ice, and it shows him as sort of a character for the community that he's there to do work and he's there to help the game, but ultimately doesn't take things too seriously, which is always nice to see. Jumping into the roadmap, August as a month in terms of content is going to be on a lighter end of things. As Rox said herself, it's kind of intended because they want to give players kind of room to breathe and some time to prepare and get their ducks in a row and everything before Tier 4 comes out. We're getting a new island, which is called the Indigo Island. You can enter it at 1600 item level. The way I understood this island is that it gives you tokens that you exchange at an NPC for progression materials, and I don't know what they are, but they did mention that one of the materials is elixirs, so that's good. Another source of elixirs, so you don't have to do the worst raid in the game, which is Valdis, unless you're not an entropy user, in which case it's just another raid in the game. There's Maharika Festival is coming, so the second half of the Maharika Festival is just another daily to do the Fall Guys thing, and we're getting the lookbook, or the style book, which is pretty much people making character presets, uploading it there. If you ever played BDO, pretty much the same thing. You can look at other people's outfits as well, the way they did it apparently, not just appearance presets, but also like outfits as a whole. So that's really cool. I know that myself personally and a lot of other people are really excited for that, so that'll be good to see. Chaos Dungeons are getting kind of changed in a way, sort of. So we're getting this thing called the Purification Mission, and if you use your energy on the Chaos Dungeon, pretty much when you run it, you fill up that Purification Mission and you get points for it, and those points you exchange at an NPC for the rewards that you would normally get out of a Chaos Dungeon. So the way I understand it is that Chaos Dungeons, like the reason for this whole thing is that you don't have to do Chaos Dungeons with 5 million characters anymore. Now you just fill up that gauge, the Purification Mission gauge points, whatever, and that's how you get your materials from the Chaos Dungeons. So you don't have to run them on every single character anymore. So as a whole, you get a lot of these points, and then you exchange them for the materials that you would have otherwise gotten. Essentially, the idea is to still have Chaos Dungeons in the game, but reduce just the sheer volume of Chaos Dungeons that you have to run on a daily basis, or like every 3 days or whatever, to reduce kind of player fatigue when it comes to daily activities. So that's how I understood it. But also in the video, they mention that there's going to be fatigue-related changes coming to Ebony Cube. They didn't say what it was, but because they mentioned it very briefly and weren't very specific about it, I'm assuming, maybe hoping it's going to be X3. I don't know why that wasn't there in the first place, but whatever. I'm hoping that's what it is, but there are also some changes coming to the cube. We are also getting bound gold. Now, there's not too many details about how that's going to be implemented, but the interesting thing that I noticed is Matthew mentioned when he brought up bound gold is that he said, you've all seen the Reddit threads. And that's interesting to me because from what I understand, the whole idea how the discussion in the West started about this bound gold is that there was a Reddit thread that was made by somebody, part of the community, who kind of proposed that idea. And I'm really hoping internally, deep down, that that's kind of how it went. It went from a Reddit thread to an actual discussion at AGS, and then they will be implementing that into the game, which apparently is something that's unique to our version, or the way at least it's implemented for our version will be unique for just our region, which is really good to see. And that's kind of a strong suit of a good publisher that they are taking problems that are relevant to the actual region and fixing those problems and implementing fixes for things that are unique to the region, not just the game as a whole, because we all know the way things are in Korea is not the same that it is for us. And then another thing that's coming in August is an Echidna nerf, which is also a result of a lot of community feedback. I don't know how we got gaslit that apparently Echidna is easy. I just cleared it. Thank you. Big shout out to Mr. John Paul for teaching me and Riker hard Echidna. Cody taught me normal Echidna. I've graduated the academy. I've cleared hard Echidna. That shit is hard, man. That shit's fucking hard. Okay? I just recently came back after a little break to Lost Ark, so it was my first time doing Echidna this week. It was the first time I cleared it, so it's pretty hard. And honestly, it's nice to see that the community feedback is received properly and we're getting nerfs for it. I don't give a fuck, honestly, anymore. This game has so many, you have to play so many characters, you have to interact with so many systems. At this point, I want to log into the game and have fun, not log into the game and have to dread that I'm going to spend many of my hours trying to clear a raid that I kind of just, I have to, and it's unignorable. And when raids are becoming increasingly hard, to me, that sucks the fun out of the enjoyment of a social video game. That's a bit of a tangent. Echidna's getting a nerf, and I think that's a good thing. If you don't agree with me, then you're just objectively wrong. What can I say? In September, we are getting North Kurzan, which is the second half of the MSQ. You have to be item level 1600 to do it, and then that will bring you up, that MSQ will bring you up into tier 4, which is a whole overhaul of everything. We're getting season 3 Lost Ark. If you don't know what that is, I recommend you look up Memorizer video explaining tier 4, breaking down all the systems. Like, genuinely, I cannot physically cover them in this video because it would make the video like over an hour long. So giant overhaul to everything. There is going to be a new chaos in North Kurzan that you do once a day, and then there's going to be this thing called Kenuart Fortress, where you go in there 3 times a day and you get your tier 4 relic gear. Now, the gear itself in tier 4 you get from boxes, and it's a selectable box, so you get to select which piece of gear that you need. They also drop in the dungeon themselves, but just to make sure that you're not kind of cucked out of getting the piece that you need, because I remember when we were just getting into tier 3 at the beginning when Lost Ark just came out, my bard was cursed for the first like 3 or 4 days. I could not get my gloves to drop in chaos. I had every single other gear piece like 5 times over, and I just did not have gloves. So in order to prevent that from happening again in this tier, don't worry, you actually have a selectable box where you'll select your piece from it. Obviously, the new raid Behemoth is coming out with tier 4 in September. It's a 16-man raid, but don't worry, there's reses. And it also has been emphasized by both AGS in the video and Smilegate a lot earlier when they were talking about Behemoth, that because it's a 16-man raid, they don't want to make it too mechanically heavy, so you don't have to worry about heavily coordinating 16 people and just getting jailed over and over. I don't actually know how difficult the raid is or how easy it is, but I've heard both Smilegate and Amazon mention several times over that it's meant to be a little bit easier and a lot less mechanically demanding because of the amount of people that it takes to coordinate, so that would make things inherently a lot more difficult. The entry level is 1640, but don't forget that entering into tier 4 at 1620 and just putting on the set of gear for tier 4 will automatically bump you up 20 eye level. So you don't have to manually get to 1640, you have to get to 1620, and then once you get into tier 4, you will naturally become 1640 by just existing in tier 4. So it's an entry-level raid, essentially. We're getting express servers, which is also something that Amazon mentioned that they've learned a lot from. So it's pretty much like Jumpstart, if you think back, when we had the Jumpstart servers, but they were their own little island that was isolated from everything. The express servers is what they're calling it. They are not isolated like Jumpstart, so the market is going to be shared. I believe matchmaking is also going to be shared, probably, I'm assuming. But there's also horizontal progression boost, which would also help new players, and then you get to pick which server you go to. So that's all really nice and well. It seems that they've taken feedback from Jumpstart servers to heart, and a lot of the flaws, a lot of the shortcomings of the Jumpstart servers were genuinely taken to heart, and they were changed in this. These are the biggest complaints that we've had, is that the servers were isolated and that people couldn't move over, and there was like server racism kind of thing, and there was no horizontal progression and stuff like that. So this time it'll be better. We'll see. And then in tier 4, we're getting a new arc pass, and then we're getting season 3 Yas's Jar. So for those of you that have been asking for it, there you go. Not really all too much for month of October, except for the next raid. So that's already a lot as it is. It's A gear. It's a 2-gate raid, where in the first gate we fight a Khan, because apparently we just seem to suck really hard at getting to kill the Legion commanders. So they keep coming back and fighting us again. So we have to fight a Khan again in the first gate. And then the second gate is A gear. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know who he is, or why he's there, or what he's up to. But I'm sure the MSQ of North Kazan will tell us about that. And then in November, we're getting the Hyper Awakening, which is the 3rd awakening with the special cutscene. Still to this day, don't know how that shit works. Does everybody have to watch it? Is it shared among people? It gets a new keybind, but that's all I know about it. But it looks really cool. That's in November. We'll also get the second half of the Arc passive stuff, which is stuff that's related to tier 4. So those of you that know what I'm talking about, look, we get the extra skills and all that stuff. And then we get new pet abilities where you can put your pet on Crime Watch or something. I don't know. It just sounds really goofy and silly or whatever. And then we get another island, which is the Buzzing Island, because it's bee themed, so that's cute. Probably not gonna go there because I don't do islands, but that's that's your roadmap right there, fellas. To me, the roadmap looks really good, but that kind of brings me into this next thing that I wanted to quickly mention about the roadmap, especially at the end of the video. Rox was like, let us know what your favorite piece of content was about the roadmap, blah, blah, blah. I like the roadmap because it's good. Like, the roadmap is good. I think the timing, the pacing is good. Everything's good. We're getting, like, the two things that I wanted to mention. First of all, what I was really impressed by is the fact that we are actually getting things that are unique to our region because our region, like, needs it. To me, that's a really good sign when it comes to, like, Amazon, because a publisher, to me, like, it's strange because, like, ideally a publisher in my mind is somebody who takes the problems of the region they're covering and then implements fixes and solutions to those problems depending on what problems are ailing the specific region. So the whole conversation about what problem we have here in the West, in the Western version of Lost Ark, constantly being jointed and tied at the hip to what's going on over there in KR, frankly pisses me off. I love Korean players. I have a lot of Korean viewers. I have nothing against the region, obviously, but it's just annoying that we get compared to the KR version because KR version is completely different. They're on a completely different patch. They have their own set of problems that's completely unique to their region because the game has been out there for 3 years longer than ours. The problems that the West has are unique to the West, and it has nothing to do with KR. The only thing that it has to do with KR is that KR is, it's the country that fucking makes the game and makes the fucking decisions. So it's nice to see things like Bound Gold. I don't even know how it's going to be implemented yet, but seeing it even be discussed as far in the progress where it's actually made it into the video and into the patch notes, not the patch notes, but into the roadmap, it's good. It feels good that it's like, oh, Amazon isn't just a bunch of people. It's not just a name that they slap over like the Western version of Lost Ark, but we get the same fucking thing that KR does. It's nice to see that they're handling our region the way a publisher should. They're taking our unique problems and our unique issues to our region and implementing things that we need. And that's one of the things that I loved seeing on the roadmap. And that's a huge, huge step in the correct direction in my eyes. And then the other thing that I noticed that probably is my favorite thing in this entire roadmap, and it has nothing to do with what's on the roadmap itself, but sort of. You'll get in a second. The sentiment and the way that things are communicated. So as a result, some of the things that are on the roadmap. So it's not like I'm excited for A gear. Well, it's not that I'm not excited for A gear, but specifically what I liked seeing on the roadmap is, and I wrote it down, Echidna nerf, change the jumpstart servers, so there's jumpstart coming again, but it's different, it's better. Bound Gold, mentioning the Reddit threads, things like that. So all of those things have one thing in common to me, and it's that Amazon is paying attention to what we're saying and giving us things that we're asking for. Not us sitting here in our little cuck chair in the hotel room while Invin is over there in KR talking to Smilegate, and Smilegate is giving KR players what they're asking for, and then we might get a little bit left over, like in the movie Platform, where we're on the fucking 100th level, so we're hoping for like scraps from KR. It's nice to see that they're actually taking player sentiment from Western players to implement into the Western version of the game. That's my favorite thing that was on the roadmap. And it was, oh, maintenance in 30 minutes, look at that. It's just good to see. It's good to see. Like, a kid and a nerf, I'm cool with it. I don't give a fuck. I just came back from a break. I didn't play the game for like a month. Doing Thaymine was a little rough because a lot of people got disheartened that I played with a lot of my friends, people in my static, like people I actually talked to. Thaymine brought out a lot of people who realized they don't like their class as much as they thought they would, or they thought that they did. It was just, Thaymine was kind of referred to as Brel 2.0, like the Brel Gate 2.0 or whatever, because it killed a lot of people's desire to like play the game, and it overwhelmed a lot of people. We've been getting a lot of help for our version already. Like I don't want to make it sound like they're just starting now. Like we got all the with the elixir changes and the transcendence changes, and we get a lot of freebies, and it feels like they didn't mention this anywhere specifically, but it kind of feels like they've been inadvertently listening to how people are saying like we're on this, the West is on a sped up schedule for content, but we don't get the same amount of rewards to match that increased content. Like we get the same amount of rewards that KR does, but KR things come out slower than they do for us. So it's good to see that we're being heard in a way that's not just like, hey, we're bringing you a patch that already exists in KR faster. It's even a step further, which by the way is also appreciated, but it's we're being heard in a way that's like they're implementing things that like we are getting for ourselves that we've been asking for in the West. And that's what's important to me. And one last thing, the small thing, but to me is important. I've played BDO before, semi-recently, like a year ago, and I will never stop glazing like Pearl Abyss's involvement in the community. They have GMs, CMs, visiting streams. I haven't been a BDO partner forever now. I haven't touched the game in a while. And I still sometimes have like Pearl Abyss GMs popping into my stream just to say hi, because I used to be part of the community, and they just kind of hang out and like ask me questions, ask how I've been and stuff like that. Like they're very, very involved in the community, and it's nice to see the three people in the video. Like Rox has been there since the very beginning. She's an OG. Henry, beloved by the community, maybe hated a little bit for his luck, but you know, you gotta have a balance. And then we have Matthew now, who is, he also is actively playing the game. He understands how the game works, and he seems very passionate about speeding things up and bringing players in the West things that we would actually need and we would benefit from. These videos, the way they communicate, the way they talk about like, oh, you've seen the Reddit threads, mentioning and joking about the Fion Gate, things like that. To me, it's a very minor thing in the grand scheme of the video game. It matters a lot to me though, because that's kind of the feeling that it gives me. Like it makes me feel more loyal about a game that I play in a weird way, because Amazon Games isn't this like unachievable nexus, like untouchable concept where faceless people work and make decisions. Like it's nice to put a face to a name, and it's nice to see more and more community involvement. I'm not gonna lie, dude, if like GMs and CMs started kind of like just reaching out and like hanging out in people's streams, that would be nice, but they have enough on their plates, I'm sure. But that's kind of like what I'm talking about, how they did it in Black Desert. I loved it. I loved it. It was like, it made me love the game more, and seeing that happen in Lost Ark warms my heart, personally. I went to play Wuthering Waves for like a month when it came out. Unintentionally took a break from Lost Ark. It was completely unplanned, but I kind of realized in the middle of it that I was burnt out because of Thaymine. I was burnt out of the game, and I was like, I don't know if I want to even keep playing the game. I wasn't sure. When people asked me if I'm coming back, I said that I am, because that's usually what happens, and here I am. I'm already back, so I mean, I wasn't lying now in hindsight, but it's seeing things like this, like the listening to the community, getting more involved in the community, being transparent, and giving us things that our region actually needs and isn't just trickling over from KR. huge. Like, it actually genuinely makes me want to play the game. You could have told me nothing about the roadmap. Like, you could have just said a kid on nerfs. You could have just said whatever is that shows that Amazon listened. I don't even care that there's like Chaos Engine changes. Like, I mean, it's good. It's good stuff. The roadmap is really good. But you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing how involved they are in the community and how willing they are to listen and actually make things happen in our region because we're talking about it, because we're asking for it, the game could be completely unchanged. But before I saw that, I logged in, played, and logged out. The next day after that, the game is still the same, but I feel more inspired and more excited to play the game because I see that the people who are responsible for the game, maybe they care. And I think it's going in a good direction. I just got mail. Who sent me mail? Oh. Something sold. I'm very poor. Watch me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/LaufieLOL. I stream every day except Tuesday. I came back to Lost Ark recently. Well, came back. Okay, I took a little break for a month, but yeah. I also play WoWa sometimes and gacha games and all that, but very good roadmap. Super happy about it. And genuinely very excited to see where all of this leads. Because it feels like the general attitude has not been the happiest in the last half a year-ish. This is a good sign that it might go back up. So, keep it up. If you ever see this and you work for Amazon, good job. I love you. Goodbye! Thanks for watching.